Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amrutam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om. May the divine lead us from the unreal to the real, from darkness to light, from death to immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace. Welcome to the Sunday service of the Vedanta Society of Toronto. And this Sunday service is being live telecasted from, live streamed from Connecticut. As I said in my Friday class, is a beautiful state of the United States. Beautiful in the sense it's all green and scenic. It's full of scenic beauty, wonderful river flowing, large trees, and people are so wonderful when there is so nice scenic environment. All are peaceful and good, and our devotees of the Vedanta are really wonderful, and I got great hospitality from them and a great treat. So today's class is about spiritual aspiration. Before I begin the class, I would like to congratulate and greet all people with a fatherly attitude. Today is Father's Day. And as somebody sent in the morning, the acronym of father, what does it mean? What a father should be? So, father stands for father of F. A father stands for forgiving. A one who is always forgiving to others is father. When he treats everyone as his children, so he is father of everyone. If he treats his own kids of his family, so he can forgive their all mistakes, so he's father to them. Still, that fatherhood for the whole world has to grow. Actually, the fatherhood of whole world, whole universe can be attained only by God, or one when one can attain the state of fatherhood of a whole world. That I have to be like that, forgiving for everyone's. Then you are raising yourself in the fatherhood of many people. That quality of real fatherhood, the fatherhood of God, is manifesting through you. And A is for the armor of God. You become an instrument in the hands of God. And T is the father is teacher. When very young, the first teacher of the humankind is, of course, mother, no doubt. The one learns language from the mother. That's why you call the language that you learn in your when you were baby. The first language you learn is called mother's tongue. So mother tongue is something we learn from mother, that language. But after you grow for a few years, like 4 or 5 years, then you need father to guide you in many things of the world. So mother's teaching, then father's teaching, then there will be the teachers in the school and colleges and the universities are important. So father is plays very important role of a teacher in our life. And there is a yes, that heroism or bravery of the father is there. That father is always a brave person who always protect us. And there is there is E in the that thing, that father is always he is always there, who is excusing, who will always excuse you, forgive you in many of your things. And there is also the R at the end, which means respect. We remember everlasting memory of father. In fact, E will be everlasting memory of father. We cannot forget father. You see, I have become a monk. All relationship with my family ties have been broken. All everything is gone. For I'm monk for almost 40 years, but still I remember father, how he taught in me in my childhood. What was his expectation from me? That I become a good citizen of the world, that I became a noble person, not cheating others, doing good to others. Like those were the expectation of father. So that is what father. We have everlasting memory of father, and that's why we respect father all our life. And the real father, of who is our parent, male parent, the father whom we call, is just a small representation. The real father is God Himself, who is Jagat Pitaha, the father of the universe, father of the world. So we remember father of the world who created this world along us. And not only he created, as it is said, that father is always is a teacher. So the Jagat Guru becomes the father of the whole universe. He's the teacher of the world. And we remember our Jagat Pitaha, Father of the world, that is God, and we bow down to His protection, His teaching, His guidance, and His love. And we should be always, every moment, we should remember E. E that stands for the Father is for the every moment. Let us remember our real Father, the Father of the universe. When we can connect with the Father, the Jagat Pita, or the Father of the universe, our Creator, our Protector, which ever present with us, so then we'll be really doing justice to the Father's Day, that we remember our Father in that way. So after greeting to the Father on the Father's Day, and Father, the Father of all, the Father of the universe, the God Supreme, let us begin with our topic of our talk today: spiritual aspiration. We all know the word aspiration. Aspiration is a desire, a strong desire to achieve something high, something great. That becomes aspiration. Aspiration is not, oh, I like to sleep today. That is not aspiration. I want to get up and work today. I have aspiration. You can have daily aspiration that I will clean I will mow my lawn today. So that may become your aspiration for the day. Active, something higher, something conquering your basic, that it pulls you down, conquering your tamo guna by raja guna. That becomes aspiration. And and transcending your raja guna by sattva guna, and that also becomes aspiration. Too much of work and activity and desire for name and fame and wealth and all that achieved, now what? Now what? That again becomes the aspiration to even transcend the sattva guna and reach that state called the state of supreme serenity, the state of that what is called in Vedanta as Jivan Mukti. That Jivan Mukti state, that state is called great aspiration, spiritual aspiration. So aspiration is a strong desire or ambition to achieve something high or great. And what is spiritual aspiration? Spiritual aspiration, therefore, is the ambition to achieve the ultimate goal of spirituality. That is, to know the truth about oneself. Who am I? To know that I want to know myself. I don't know myself. I know something about the world, but I see only the know with our five senses. I don't know the real inner thing of the world, which is beyond five senses. So that is what the knowledge of the world is. When we know world as God, then only we have known the world. Before that, we know only the limited aspect of the world. We have not known world really. I may be great physicist or great natural scientist, and I know many animals and plants and species, and I know the names and their behavior. Still, I do not know their inner thing. What makes them? What is the real core and source of the manifested variation, varieties of species? There is one being that appears as many. Unless I find that in nature, and that I have not known the nature it also. So aspiration is to know what is behind the nature, what is behind my own existence. Who am I? When I want to know myself in truly, then it becomes aspiration. It's not just a desire or wish to know myself. It's still not an aspiration. Aspiration will become aspiration when we strive to achieve what we wish. Then it becomes aspiration. You want something to achieve higher, and also you strive to achieve that higher. So these two parts, aspects of the aspiration are there. As we have for the Jnanis to know ourselves, Atma Jnana, similarly for the one who love God, who are more emotionally oriented, who have that very loving heart for God. So for them, the desire, intense desire to realize God, that also comes under same spiritual aspiration. And when we try to realize God, which we think is outside of us, and He is the source of whole universe, and He is also the one who is my antaryamin, one who is seated in my heart, and my real self is God. That God I seek, I love that God I need, I want to sport with that God. Then it becomes like search of God and real spiritual aspiration. When Sri Krishna says, Yastu Atma Ratireva Syat Atma Triptascha Manava. Atmani eva cha santusta tasya karyam na vidyate. He doesn't have to do the external work, running after this and wanting this and desiring another thing. He doesn't have to go through that. When yastu atmarati eva syat atma triptasama. Atmarati is always engaged and enjoying his company of the self. And that self can be the one, your true self, that is unknown, and that is your reality. You have come somehow through your sharp intellect, have got some inclination about your true self, and you are convinced that that self you are. Or it can be God that is sitting in your heart as your own self. As Sri Krishna says in the Gita, that Aham Atma Guda Kesha Sarva Bhuta Shaya Sthita, that one being is present in the hearts of all. In my heart, in your heart, in the heart of a worm, in the heart of a tiger, an elephant, one being that is seated in the heart of everyone and is the Atman of everyone, not only seated. He is the real essence of all these varied varieties of living beings. That God, to seek that God, to find that God, to see that indweller, the one without a second, that indweller in every being, to seek to see that, to feel its presence, is real spiritual aspiration. Spiritual aspiration is the yearning of the soul to unite with the Supreme Spirit. When I think myself as the individual soul, so who am I? I am the individual soul with all the divine qualities, but in very minor expression of that, Satchidananda, but very limited expression of that. And this limited Satchidananda wants to unite with the ultimate and infinite Satchidananda. Limited individualized Satchidananda we can call is Jivatma, individual Atman, with the universal Atman, the true Atman, that's called Paramatman. So spiritual aspiration is the desire, strong desire to achieve the unity of myself with that supreme self. I just doesn't want to remain the ray of the sun. The ray of the sun, I have come from the sun. I belong to sun. So I want to be with the sun. I want to realize that. That is what is called spiritual aspiration of the seeker of Atman. For the yogis, they want to unite with the Paramatman. So Bhakta wants to realize God as the indweller of every being and the essence of every being. The Jnani wants to know the Atman as the everything, one without a second, and the basis of this whole creation and transcending the creation, and as the ultimate truth that doesn't change at all and ever remains a pure consciousness, infinite, everlasting, ever existing existence itself. So that is what is Gyanis will try to seek. So whatever way you try, this is what is called spiritual aspiration, to know the truth, to realize God, to find the unity with Paramatman. As all that comes in spiritual aspiration. It is a wish to attempt to gain the liberation from the bondage of death bound transitory existence to the eternal existence of immortal and unchanging blissful reality. So,
That's what the Vedantic way of expression of what the reality is, who I am. So I want to not. I know that I am not this mortal being, this body, mind, this ever changing, this world. So I wish to transcend and know that this transient world of transitional world is not my reality. My reality is everlasting immortal bliss. So to understand the reality of my own self and transcend this recycle of birth and death because born of ignorance, that is spiritual aspiration. I want to get rid of this cycle of birth and death, always growing and then dying and again being born, again dying, this cycle of birth and death, simply because I don't know my reality and I am just playing and whirling in the world. I don't know how many times we're doing that. Are we ready to? Are we bored with this such type of cycling? Are we aware to know that it's just this recycling of the thing goes on, like the plastic recycle from a bottle to a bag, and from the bag to another some plastic sheet, like that? Are we happy with getting recycled, our atman getting recycled like that? Or I want to know who I am, that I am that being which is not changeful, and the changing thing is just it seems it and in the changing also we go through so much of suffering. If you realize your own life, how much of suffering and tension and always feeling of insecurity, what will happen tomorrow, death will come, the pain of death, and the problem of old age, all those will come in this ever changing life. I want to get rid of that. And if you remember your childhood, how much was the tension for exam, admission test, for getting admission in the thing, and there have been so much of competition with our fellow friends. Some were when they were even good. And always there is part. You have to get the highest grades in your class, and you can't do that. You become the second boy or second girl in the class, but you come very you home back home and ready to get the scolding from a parent. What is that? You couldn't become first like that. So that how many years it went on until till you passed your high school, and that is again going to come if we don't get liberation. If you're born again, all those things will be recycled. It's not only coming to become another human being. All those moments of this difficulties are we going to repeat again and again and again and again. So do we want to get rid of all those false things? And those are not real. It is just dreaming thing, and we're dreaming of horrible dreams. I want to get rid of this horrible dream, and for that we need liberation from this birth and cycle, and to remain what really I am. I really am never go through all these problems. I am blissful being. I am everlasting being. I am that pure consciousness. And this ignorance, this to get rid of this is the spiritual aspiration. That is called getting rid of from this ever-changing, transitory, suffering world of suffering. World has to be of suffering. No one can say, "Oh, world is so blissful." No one can say this unless someone has realized the truth, has become Jivan Mukta, has become Pragya Paramita. And then suffering is there for the body. And then that person can say, uh, how are you, Maharaj, today? Swami Shivananda, people used to ask, our second president of our order and a direct disciple of Sri Ramakrishna. He said, body is suffering, but mind is okay, it's good. And he used to pray, as Sri Ramakrishna also used to say, মন শরীর জানে দেহ জানে আর দুঃখ জানে মন তুমি আনন্দে থাকো. Let body and the suffering take care of itself. Suffering thing will be belong to body, but mind don't get involved in the physical body, and you remain blissful. How can mind remain blissful? Your body is suffering. I had gone to a dentist, and she was doing some treatment, my tooth and all that. Then I found that my whole mind is on that tooth. I tried to take it away. No, it goes on that tooth which was being treated, and little pain, nerves being touched. And what is that? Whole mind thinking there. If I had the power to keep that mind at the lotus feet of God, or think the bliss of Sri Ramakrishna, where will be that problem? So there will be suffering, will be there, pain will be there, but you will not feel that pain. That is the state of Sthita Pragya Vyakti. All he has so much control over the mind that he can move his mind to wherever he wants or she wants, and can think of something good when your body is suffering, when body there is pain. But we all complain of pain. Oh, so such Sthita Pragya will never complain. They know that Sharir Jane Dukkha Jane. The Sharir will be, the body will be like the Vyadhi Mandiram, Shariram Vyadhi Mandiram. To know this and accept this and able to handle this. So that is what happens when you are spiritually enlightened. And to have that spiritual illumination, spiritual enlightenment, the thing needed is, do you aspire to become spiritually enlightened? So this aspiration for spiritual unfoldment, spiritual enlightenment, is the first step to get rid of this ignorance, this suffering, this problem of this existence, worldly existence. In Vedanta, this spiritual aspiration is called mumukshutva, the desire to be free. Muktum ichha mumukshuta. So when you want to be free from the cycle of birth and death, and from this transitory existence, taking this world to be the real existence, and because of that suffering, changing, things changing, body changing, thoughts changing, relationship changing, and every change makes you suffer. Oh, that was my friend. He's not coming anymore. Oh, that person has stopped talking to me. That lady has misunderstood me without doing anything. All this used to be so good and kind. The boss was to be so happy. Someone complained to boss against me, and then boss doesn't look me, is not favorable to me. All this changing thing in the world that affect us, that makes us miserable. To get rid of, free from all this changing world, and accepting the world as world, and putting myself in the Atman which never changes, to realize the truth of myself as the Atman, not as the body mind complex that interacts with the world. The Atman, ever blissful Atman, so that is ever there, shining, glowing, that is glowing, and has nothing to do. No one can touch it, no one can insult it, no one can complain against it. That is the Atman, and I am that. To understand that is mumukshutva, and to be freed from this cycle of birth and death, to get rid of the ignorance that I am the body, to get rid of the desire that what will be my fate after the death. Will I go to heaven or hell? Will I be born as a human being or as an animal? Will I be born as the religion that I belong to, or some other religion that I don't feel that is so great? My religion is so nice, whatever people say. So those are all the fear, unnecessary fear. Getting rid of all that in one chop, and then all thing goes, and that is called mumukshutva. This spiritual aspiration, when it exhibits itself as mumukshutva for the jnanis. For bhaktas, what is this spiritual aspiration? It manifests as viraha. Viraha is the longing for God, for your beloved, for your most beloved. You want to see your most beloved. You want to be with that. You want to play with that. You want to hear the music of the anklet of that your most beloved. You want to observe the eyes of your most beloved. Everything of your beloved becomes so wonderful, and just you yearn for that. You have so much longing for that. That is called viraha. And that madhurastakam is there. Adharam madhuram vadanam madhuram madhuradipate akhilam madhuram. Everything about you, oh Lord, is so sweet. Your very look is sweet, your nose is sweet, your eyes are sweet, your lips are sweet. Everything about you are made of all sweetness, all charm, all joy. To find that, I am not able to see that. When will I see that? When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, when will that day come? When moment will seem like the yuga, and my tears will flow like the rain and monsoon rain. When will that happen? And when my throat will be choked while taking your name with the emotion for divine emotion, when will that day come, Lord, when I can behold you? That is the viraha, spiritual aspiration manifested at viraha for a bhakta. Bhakta's longing, Sri Ramakrishna's life. Mother, please show me. Why did you show me, and why you are hiding now? I have been crying for you. I have been praying for you. Why you are not showing anything to me? Then when mother is near you, it is like the yearning of a baby. Baby was seeing mother and all that. Mother went in the room beside, and now baby is there. Baby wants to see mother, and little cries little. The mother is not coming. Mother, I saw, where is my mother? Without mother, I'm helpless. I am incomplete. I'm insecure. I want mother now. In the baby, how this feeling of insecurity and longing for mother comes. And that same longing comes to a devotee, that without God, without you, oh my Lord, oh my divine mother, without you, life is useless, worthless. So that type of idea comes for a devotee, and that is called viraha. Sri Ramakrishna rubs his face on the ground and says, Mother, mother, please, mother, please show me. And people thought, oh, he might be crying for his own mother who gave him birth, who lives in Kamarpukur. But Sri Ramakrishna was crying for the divine mother who had shown him, and now he is not finding him. Where is she gone? So that is viraha, that is aspiration. When that viraha comes, then God is not far, says Sri Ramakrishna. When there is spiritual aspiration has matured enough, God is already running to you, and day is not far, then you will be able to behold him in any form. With form, having the human form, with face and body and all that, all in a glory. That vision of the divine form is not like seeing our friend or our son or our beloved. It's much more intenser. The joy is inexpressible, that joy when you see God. So that is the vision of God that the devotee seeks through the process of viraha. And that viraha, the longing, when viraha is attained through spiritual aspiration, then it is like dawn. When dawn is there, the eastern horizon has become rosy, and then sunrise is not far, sunrise is imminent. So like that happens, you have viraha, spiritual aspiration has matured to viraha for a devotee. In Christian literature, it is called divine discontentment. You were thinking of God, praying to Him, and suddenly it comes that you are not happy. All your happiness and joy of prayer is gone. You have become too discontented. You don't want to stay there in that stage, want to feel the presence of God. They don't have the feeling like seeing God with form, but without form. God, the reality, feeling the presence of God, uh, that is also divine discontentment. Now I am not contented without having your presence, without feeling your presence inside my heart. When that presence is felt, then they start listening to God's voice in the heart of their hearts. And that divine discontentment leads to that Atma Tusti, Yastu Atma Ratireva Syat, Atma Tripta Samanava, Atmani Eva Cha Santusta. Then they are satisfied, contented only in the Atman. That Atman is God, God vision has come. And for that, this divine discontentment, this stage will come. And as I said, in Sri Ramakrishna's language, he didn't call it viraha, he called it vyakulata. Vyakulata is intense longing to see God. You don't like now to remain there in the state that you are. That is vyakulata. Sometimes when we fly for like 17, 18 hours, a long flight from say Delhi to Chicago, or Delhi to New York, then it's so long flight, and then you are bored with sitting in the plane doing nothing. So you want to get rid of this plane. When it will land and I'll be free? This bondage doesn't now look good. Enough is enough, the plane journey. and now I want to get out wherever is there. So that is a sort of vyakulata. As soon as plane lands, you want to get out of this plane, this bondage of the plane, though it carried you to a destination, that now it has become bondage. Similarly, this body mind complex, our human life, so precious, so important. It is just like that plane that carries us from Delhi to New York, and New York our destination. And when the destination is ready to come or it arrived, we don't want bondage of the body, we want to be free. This doesn't mean that we want to die, but we want to be freed from the attachment with the body, thinking that I identification with the body, that I am body. I no more relish my identity with the body. I want to know I am devotee of God, ever be with Him, like that thing. That is a sort of vyakulata that we experience of long flights. Get rid of it. Fresh air, go outside, meet your relations and devotees who will come to receive you at the airport, and that is the joy of freedom that you enjoy. So, like that, when we get rid of this body, when we even in like body's journey is done, not only coming from ignorance to knowledge or attaining God. Suppose this body's life journey is done, we are at the deathbed. So that moment will be when I will get rid of this. Enough is done. Now my beloved will come, my God will come to receive me. And then you are eagerly waiting for your Ishta to come and take you. Enough of separation from him. No more I can stand that. And then, like the Ishavasya Upanishad, then you say, oh mind, remember what you have done good in your life, and don't harbor on your guilt feeling or negative or mistakes or failure. Remember only the successes and good things that you have done. Be positive. So that is how the dying person that thinks, and death becomes a great culmination of great journey of this human life. Not only of this life, so many lives we have been journeying through, so many small flights. It is not the direct flight, but every flight was like boarding flight. So every flight came and landed, and now this is the final flight when I will reach New York. And then now done, I will meet my beloved. So that is the vyakulata will lead to that. And that vyakulata, I want God and nothing else, like the vyakulata of a child crying so piteously, as Sri Ramakrishna says about that vyakulata, that I want to cajole Shivu or some young nephew of him. And he was okay for some time. After that, he started crying, I want to go to mother, Ma jabo. I'm going to go to mother. Nothing else would cajole him. No sweets, nothing. Just he wants to go to his mother. So that is the Vyakulata. And when such Vyakulata happens, mother comes. Sri Ramakrishna writes very nicely. When the child is playing and mother is cooking in the kitchen, and she is happy. Nothing happens. Child is having some toys. Baby is playing. After some time, she's tired with playing with the toys, and then she starts crying, and crying loudly when mother doesn't come. Then what mother does? Mother somehow quickly puts the pot cooking thing it removes from the oven, and then rushes to get to the baby. Like that, when we have that vyakulata, then mother will rush. Mother is playing. She's beside. She's not just seen. She is there. But vyakulata will bring her to us. Um, so that's how this Vyakulata helps in spiritual aspiration and realization of what we wanted to be aspired through our spiritual practice or spirituality. When we say the prayer Asato Ma Sadgamaya, that is an expression of spiritual aspiration. That I want to, may the Lord, may I be led from unreal to the real. And if it is just chanting, then there is no aspiration. But when there is real, your heart is mixed with, I want to go from unreal to the real, and from darkness to light, and I'm tired of this cycle of birth and death. I want final liberation. I want to go to immortality. When you have real hankering for that, this prayer becomes aspiration. And when it becomes aspiration, then it starts being fulfilled. If it is real cry of the soul, God cannot stop it. God will fulfill it. God will come to fulfill it. So that is what has been found in the history of the mankind, history of the spiritual seekers, always there. How does spiritual aspiration work? It is a powerful and positive emotional force, this spiritual aspiration, that strengthens willpower to strive for the realization of God. We become very strongly inclined to realize God, and that willpower is so much enforced with the desire to realize God that it goes to gain that result. This refined spiritual energy activates the good samskaras in the mind, and the aspirant puts into practice the spiritual workout with greater zeal. So, spiritual aspiration just stimulates us to have spiritual practice with greater zeal, with greater focus, with one pointedness. I want to achieve that. So, it all begins with aspiration for our spiritual progress. Spiritual aspiration is the key to spiritual transformation, as Buddha did. You see, that he had the aspiration to realize the way out of the suffering of the world, to know the truth. That is whole this birth we are born. Everyone is born to suffer. I find suffering everywhere. Is there any way to get rid of the suffer? Like the scientist, it's a great spiritual scientists. They are the greatest scientists that have found the way for to make people happy all the time, to get rid of suffering all the time. Such panacea has been found by Buddha and Ramakrishna. And what did Buddha did? Buddha, with fortified with that spiritual aspiration, sat under a bodhi tree and said, I want to realize the truth this very night, by knowing which I will realize, I will attain that state called nirvana that I have not gained for many. Buddha could remember his past lives. What was he in the past life? So many bodhisattva life he had. But now he says, I want to realize the truth. And he sits there with strong aspiration. And that very night, he realizes that truth, that there is a way out of the suffering for every human being. I have attained it. You also can attain it. Anyone can attain it. That's what the Buddha's message for the humankind. So broad, so much for the every human being was the Buddha that came through final and strong spiritual aspiration. That happened in Sri Ramakrishna, Holy Mother, Vivekananda, all great people. Spiritual aspiration intensified desire for connection with God by loosening the connection with the world. That we are talking yesterday in Connecticut in our retreat, that the Sri Ramakrishna and M. Sri Ramakrishna's disciple Mahendranath Gupta's conversation, when Sri Ramakrishna asked M, what is Vairagya? What is dispassion? Um, the M said, it is Vishaya Virag. It is detachment from the worldly things. So Sri Ramakrishna said, no, not only that. It is not only detachment from the world, but attachment with the God together. So Ishware Anurag Vishaye Virag. So that's how the dispassion is defined by Sri Ramakrishna. You cannot detach from any from the thing without getting attached to anything. Even they say in the transmigration of the soul that when we take the new birth after this body is finished, its work is done, and we get rid of this body like a worn out garment, as Krishna says in the Gita. So then what happens? Then we travel to another life. Another life is given to us, another body we get, and start another journey of life. But some say not that after you are dead then you travel to that. Not that. You already, before when you are leaving this body, you have already gained another body. Your everything is settled, like Jalaukavat, like the leech. How the leech walks. He he touches another spot, and then he leaves the previous spot. Like that, we already have been settled and gone and everything reserved, and then we leave this body. So everything is secured in our life, nothing to worry for death. Death becomes so simple thing that just you will give up your worn out garment, you get a new body and new thing starts. But again the cycle comes. For the wise person, even the getting new body is not very great gift and very thoughtful gift. So I want to get rid of this cycle of birth and death, this ignorance. So that happens. Sri Ramakrishna's um, definition of sadhana is based on vyakulata. He said, cry to Lord with intensely yearning heart, and you will certainly see him. That is what Sri Ramakrishna is saying, that you aspire for spiritual enlightenment, and you cry to God with a yearning heart, and you will see him. Not only you will see him, you'll certainly see him. There's no doubt. There's no other quality needed. You don't need to be that, as said in the Jnana Yoga, or in your what is that book, Vedanta Sara, that adhikari, who is the real person who can realize, have the jnana, adhikari to adhita veda vedanta tvena samadhamadi sattva sampatti and anugrihita, who has learned the Vedas and has become practicing all the four steps of spiritual practice, like Viveka, Vairagya, Samadhi, Sattva Sampatti, and Mumukshutta, and is like having that feeling like to realize God. He wants to, as a person caught, whose head is caught with fire, searches the water body and wants to dip and douse the fire. Like that person has the eagerness to realize the truth. So many things you have, then you become the adhikari. So here Sri Ramakrishna says, just have vyakulata, just have yearning and longing to see God. So that vyakulata also doesn't come so easily. That comes through bhakti, then prema, then that intensifies into vyakulata, then the discontentment when you do not see, then the spiritual aspiration matures. But it can be attained, it can be had by everyone. And certainly, if you have that, certainly you will realize God. God realization, some Tilak said, our great Indian patriot, he said, um, mm, the freedom is our birthright. Swarajya Hamara Janma Siddha Adhikar. Birthright. When you are born, we have the right to live free in a free nation, like he said. Like that is our birthright. When you have been born as a human being, we have the birthright that we can realize God. We can find divinity here in front of us. That is what assurance Sri Ramakrishna gives us. So, Sri Ram, spiritual aspiration is not only a longing or yearning for God, but also it is an intense and one pointed prayer that leads us to God realization. And that type of prayer, one pointed prayer, is often called Vyakula Prarthana Yoga. You pray with intensity. That's what Sri Ramakrishna says. Can you cry to God? Can you shed tears? You want people to shed tears, jug full of tears for the family and for other things, but they cannot shed even a drop of tear for the sake of God. Then how can they will realize God? So that's what Sri Ramakrishna says. Can you cry for God? Can you shed tears for God? Can you become very sad that you have not yet realized God? You have not progressed in the spiritual path, and that becomes Vyakula Prarthana Yoga. You are already in practicing yoga. Not it is not Jnana Yoga, it is not Karma Yoga, but it is Vyakula Prarthana Yoga. Is a like a Bhakti Yoga. You have the longing to see God, and when that Vyakulata comes, nothing of this world is, it is, you have any longing or liking for the world. Sri Ramakrishna says, when that Vyakulata comes, the house looks like the hole of a fox, and the relatives looks like so many people that no attachment is there. So the attachment of ignorant person And the love of a person who is spiritually advanced is quite different. The spiritually advanced person has no attachment. Like so many, you see the monks and nuns and all those things, and they not love their parents when they give their house, they give up their house and come forth to join the order or become a monk or nun. They do love their parents, but there is no attachment. They want their good, they want them to happy, they want them to be devoted to God, they want them to realize God. There is all love that is there, but there is no attachment. This attachment to the world goes, and the person says, um, idam mamana rochate. I don't like anything of the world. Nothing of the world is really attractive to me. Nothing really satisfies to me. Now heart has changed, path has changed, priority has changed through this spiritual aspiration. And the devotee then now wants God alone. And that's how the Vairagya, that the Vyakula Prarthana Yoga happens. But true spiritual practice, in Vedantic spiritual practice, you need Viveka, Vairagya, Samadhi, Shatka Sampatti, and Mumukshutva. That's how it is said. Then you will have, when you have spiritual aspiration, you need to practice all this. What is Viveka? Viveka is discernment from real and between real and unreal, between good and not good, between pleasant and really good. So, like that, when you discern, that is called Viveka. And Vairagya is giving up what is unreal, what is unwanted, what is distracting, and focusing on what is real, what is worth. That is called Vairagya. Ishware Anurag, Vishay Virag. That becomes a Vairagya. To have that Viveka and Vairagya, and to progress and have the mukshutva or liberation or realize God, you need some practice, samadhi, shatka sampatti, control of the mind, control of the senses. Mind, you have so much control that you want to think that, as I was saying, when the tooth was being treated, then our whole mind goes there. And I don't want mind to think of that gear. Why should it think of the one tooth of whole this body? Whole mind focus on that point of nerve. How sad it is. It can think of limb, it can think of feet, it can think of hands, finger. It could go anywhere, but it goes only there. So mind is not under control. When mind is under control, you can put it at the lotus feet of God when you are being treated. In Swami Turiyananda's case, he was being operated, surgery of the carbuncle. They said, let us give some anesthesia. Swami Turiyananda said, no anesthesia needed. Just let me know few minutes before you are going to cut that wound, that carbuncle on the back. So painful. And he said, just give me notice for a few minutes. Then I will put my mind in the reality, in the truth, at the lotus feet of God, and I will not be aware of anything of this body. Total disidentification with the body is possible when your mind is under control. It can go up to that. So that is what is called Shama. Dhamma is the control of the senses. Uparati is not getting involved and indulge in the things of the world, and but getting liking the association of God. Uparati Shraddha is faith in scripture and in the words of Guru, and also in oneself. Guru Shastreshu, Guru Vakyeshu, Atmane cha Shraddha, that is called samadhana, shraddha, atmaneshu vishwasa. That what Guru Shastra said and Guru has told, and I also feel I can achieve that state. I can do it. I can achieve. I can realize God. I can attain that stage called that Jivan Mukti. I can do that. So that is called Shraddha. Samadhana is getting in that state more often. Samadhana getting away from that at willpower. Shraddha Samadhana. This is called, and the Titiksha. Titiksha is a forbearing the things that happens in the world. When you are not too much involved in the world and don't identify with the body, you can handle the situation. Physical, mental, all can be handled. And power to handle the physical and mental disturbances in the world is called titiksha. Hmm? Titiksha, as Shankara describes, the titiksha is like having the power to sahanam sarva dukkhanam apratikara purva. All suffering can be endured. Apratikara purvakam, chinta vilaparhitam. Three things. You don't want to even get rid of that because you don't mind at all those things. That, oh, it may go. You don't do that. And you don't worry for that, and you don't cry for that. No worries for future, or no lamenting for, oh, why did that person say to me? You don't bother at all that. That is called titiksha. What is strength is titiksha. Great mental strength that will take you this identify with the body. That's called titiksha. So all these are the there. So this, when you have spiritual aspiration, as they said, you become the seeker of God, bhakta. And bhaktas are four types: arto, jigyasu, artharthi, jnani. So what this aspiration does, it transforms artha and artharthi into jigyasu and jnani. Like we see Girish Ghosh, he was afflicted with the suffering. Comes to Sri Ramakrishna, now he is seeking God. He not only wants to remove his suffering or so much of hardship went through his life. His wife died, his children died. So many bereavement that you cannot imagine went through him. And in later stage, all nothing mattered to him. He just wanted Sri Ramakrishna. He just wanted the bliss of divinity. That's how spiritual aspiration can change us. So aspiration burns the seed of samskaras born of ignorance. The aspiration comes to an aspirant as a result of the grace of God. Ishwara nugrahadeva pumsam advaita vasana. So this aspiration also doesn't come without the grace of God. And then grace of God has not come to me. You have not ever opened your heart to catch the grace of God. If Swati nakshatra is there and there is rain in that, and now if the in the that pearl oyster, the pearl is to be formed, and for that it has to open its shell. That water should be let in. Water is there, it's flowing in the Swati nakshatra, and you are not opening the shell. How will you get the grace of God? So we have to open that. When we open our shells, then the water of Swati nakshatra comes, and pearl is formed inside us. So that is what Iswara Nugraha Deva Pumsam Advaita Vasana. The human being wants to realize the Advaita Vasana, to find one without a second. That desire comes by the grace of God. And when that grace of God is there, one step to God, God's 10 steps towards us. That is what is spiritual aspiration can lead us to that. So how long should we practice this sadhana, spiritual aspirant? The Vedanta says, asupte amrite kalam naed Vedanta chintaya. So until you sleep and until you die, you have to live in the truth of Vedanta, in the philosophy of Vedanta, that I am that Satchidananda Swarupa Atma, and this world is just God appearing as this transitory universe. You have to always be alert in that your true nature and true nature of this world of the appearance and change, that though it appears as changeful something, but on the background is that divinity, that Atman itself, which is my real idea. This you have to always live, try to live in that. You have to be alert in this thought that is called until you sleep and until you die. All your waking hours, you should try to be aware of this. So that's how spiritual aspiration leads us to realization. How to strengthen the spiritual aspiration? How to make it really have the yearning to God? Vyakula Prarthana Yoga. How to develop that? To that, Again, the same spiritual practices. Prarthana, cry with a yearning heart, cry with the tears flowing from your eyes. Thakur, make me pure. May I not be attached to this world. Give me detachment from the thing, from the identification with the body. May I know that I am your child, and may I always dwell in you. May I treat everyone as you manifested. Thakur, why don't I see you when I see some human being? Why do I forget you when I see human face? Human face is just your face in another form. Why don't I realize that? That is called prarthana. As Holy Mother used to look at the moon and say, please, oh God, please make me pure. And used to say to moon, oh moon, make I should my heart should be pure like and shining like you. You also have some spots. Make me spotlessly clean. Holy Mother used to always say to purify the heart, that prayer. And to that prayer comes to desire to become pure, immaculately pure, that comes from holy company, satsanga. That's so important. Every scripture says you have to have satsanga, and then the Vyakulata will come. And to retain this Vyakulata, to attain that stage of Vyakulata, comes from Swadhyaya. Do you read the life of your Ishta and the people associated with Ishta, that the saints and the sages and the disciples of your Ishta? If you are a follower of Sri Ramakrishna, have you read his divine play or gospel, or the lives of disciples of Sri Ramakrishna, or the teachings of disciples like Eternal Companion or Forest Seeker of God? All those books, that becomes Swadhyaya. You are tuned in the same way, progressing in the same line. And to make it more concrete, we need japam. What is japam? Repetition of God's name. And also, along with japam, what helps is your stava bhajana, and singing and chanting, because we need all that various words we do, and all tuned to same thing, towards connected with God. You chant the stotra stava of Sri Ramakrishna or Brahman or Durga. We know that all are same being, that Durga, Kali, Shiva, that appears as Sri Ramakrishna. um, Ramakrishna Nam, Ramakrishna Kali, Ramakrishna Nam, Shama Shive, Bhed Bhibona Amar Mohan. Oh, my mind, don't find the difference between Rama, Krishna, Krishna, Shama, means Kali, and Shiva. And all those are in Sri Ramakrishna. All are one reality appearing as many. So that type of prayer comes. And japa concretizes our yearning, our inclination, our thoughts. And for that, Durjana Samsarga Tyaga, that is also is needed. Don't indulge with some people who have different ideas. We have to live with many people, but don't have intimacy with that. Say hello, hi. And as Sri Ramakrishna used to say, whenever some crazy person comes to you, and don't neglect and say, don't come to me. Don't avoid that way, but be kind and generous and say, hello, uncle, how are you? Do you want to smoke? At the time, the smoke was the thing that to treat someone. It was like, hello, uncle, how are you? Say hi to the people, but don't have intimacy with those people whose mind is not like you. So, Durjana Samsarga Tyaga and Sadhu Sangha, those go together. So, be tuned in a particular tune. They say, no, be tuned, it will be opening soon. Like, be tuned in the tune of divine realization. And then such aspiration will lead us to God realization. To conclude, when we are consumed with a desire to know the truth, all distinctions vanish, and we feel one with all the people of all religions. Real harmony is established only then. Bhakter Jat Nai. Devotees have no caste, said Sri Ramakrishna. In that state, all seekers of God are felt like co travelers, aspiring to reach the one goal, who is which is Brahman, of the Hindus, the Ahura Mazda of the Zoroastrians, the Buddha of the Buddhists, the Jehovah of the Jews, the Father in heaven of the Christians. We all go to the same goal called as Ahura Mazda, or Father in heaven, or the Brahman, or Krishna, or Kali, the same being named differently. And as said Allah by the Muslims, as the Ek Onkar by the Sikhs, and we all are co-travelers going to same goal. We all become friendly to each other. We say God is speed to all fellow religion is fellow travelers in the path of spirituality. It says friendliness to all those who are non-believers. To them also we say, you do good work, one day you will realize, and that is that at will to transcend that this transmigratory world will come to you, and you will be a traveler for this blessed path of realization of the truth. You will try to understand the truth behind this manifestation of body and mind. So no one becomes like you ignore or set aside. You are not my own, and you travel towards that realization of one reality, one without a second, that blissful state called Satyam Shivam Sundaram, or Satchid Ananda. And that state of Satchid Ananda is Tattvamasi. You are that state whom you have been seeking Bahukalpa Durlabham, seeking through many lives, and you have not attained, and that is now ready in your hand, like Hasta Malakavat, Kara Amlakavat. In your hand it is there. Just you have to open your arm to see Satchidananda. You are one with that. Your own self or truth stands in your hand, and you realize that Tvam Asi. Through spiritual aspiration, we can reach that state of realization. Thank you very much. Now I close today's Sunday service from Connecticut, and with the closing chants. Next Sunday we will be no, next Sunday is we are in Hollywood next Sunday. No, next Sunday you're here. Next Sunday we'll meet in Toronto, so we'll be in person as well online. So now we close today's Sunday service with the closing chants. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu. जय श्री गुरु महाराज जी की जय, जय महामाई की जय, जय स्वामी जी महाराज जी की जय, जय गंगा माई की जय, जय भगवान बुद्ध की जय, जय ईशा मूषा की जय। सर्वस्तरतु दुर्गानि सर्वो भद्राणि पश्यतु, सर्वसद्बुद्धिमाप्नोतु, सर्वत्र नन्दतु। Hari Om Tat Sat. May all be freed from dangers. May all realize what is good. May all be actuated by noble thoughts. May all rejoice everywhere. Om, peace, peace, peace be unto us all.